Hey guys, JV here with another episode of Journey to Andromeda, and today we're doing an old-fashioned trailer analysis for the new exploration gameplay of Mass Effect Andromeda, which is our best look at exploration so far. If you haven't seen the gameplay for yourselves yet, I highly recommend that you click on the link in the description below before you watch this video. Before we start, a quick reminder that you can find Andromeda pre-release content on my channel every other day leading up to release, and much more when the game comes out. So if that sounds like something that interests you and you're not subscribed already, be sure and subscribe to my channel. At the beginning, we get a great look at some awesome environments. Like this one looks purplish and bluish, almost looks like Ilium to me, but I think those are a bunch of remnant ruins, which we'll see later in the trailer. But the first point that I want to pause at right here is a narration that you can't hear. It's in the actual trailer. It's that the story is contained within the Helios cluster, and there are dozens of star systems to explore within this cluster. To give you some context on the scope of this, in the original trilogy, we could go between clusters and nebula and different kind of names for groupings of planets and different star systems. Within this game, we're just focused on the Helios cluster. So it's smaller in scope because we're not jumping between mass relays to get from one to the other. However, the amount of explorable space is larger. It's more dense, I think you could say, with this game. So let's go ahead and continue on. The next point I want to pause at is the galaxy map right here. I know this is a small point, but this is what it looks like to enter the galaxy map now. Walking up to this node and you have a big window in front of you to see whatever is out in space, which is so cool. Hopping into Ryder's perspective, this is what the galaxy map looks like, and there's a lot to talk about here. First off, I counted there are 37 different little star systems that we're going to visit. On the top, we can see a progression for the overall cluster, so that's how we're going to track what we've done across all of these star systems. Also, there appears to be what looks like, again, a black hole in the very middle, so maybe keep that in mind. Starting from the top, we have the Null system, and we have Meet the Resistance and Vold underneath that. I guess Vold is a name, we don't know what that is, but there is some kind of resistance in the game, so that is something to keep in mind. We have the Gover-Com system with the planet Kadara. There's a Kadara outpost that we know about. We've seen in some gameplay with Sloan Kelly and female Ryder, so we know about that. We have the Oneon system with Aya underneath it. Again, another name of someone we don't know. Zheng He is also a system where the Nexus is, so keep in mind that's where we're going to be visiting frequently to travel to the Nexus. And the final one is Dead Center. It's Farrowang, and it says, "You are here. We're helping Havarl's scientists," and that's where Havarl is, which is another character we just don't know about. Final note, each of these individual systems has their own percentage as well, so we're going to be building up those percentages, and that's going to build the overall progression percentage for the entire cluster. Moving on, we have some narration explaining how we can examine and scan planets, moons, anomalies, vessels, and comets. So we're going to go slow motion through some of these. As you can tell, you can hide the UI, look at the system view, and use a scanner. So this is probably not going to be like the scanner that everyone hated in Mass Effect 2 or anything like that. But as you can tell, we're not going to just be looking at planets and moons. There's going to be different kind of vessels and things we can go up to and collect stuff from. If you read closely on the vessel page, it says, oh yeah, there's some wreckage. We can actually salvage some stuff from it. You'd actually grab some titanium from this comet as well. So that is kind of an exciting prospect. There's going to be more than just planets and moons. Here they show off the fact that you can see outside of the Tempest windows in real time, live, not actually live, but you're going to get to see wherever you are in the Helios cluster. If you're near a comet, for example, right here, or some kind of sun, you're going to see that reflected, which is so different from the Normandy and Commander Shepard. When you went and looked at some of the windows in the Normandy, it was just stars. You weren't seeing a real representation of where you were. Now we're going to see that, and it doesn't really impact gameplay, but it's just really awesome to see this. Next, we get some narration that there are over 100 planets to discover across all of these star systems, and there are a handful of crafted planets that can be landed on. Now, I know that line is just fuel for the chronically obsessed crowd that loves to find flaws in a game they haven't even played yet. I know that, but I'm gonna say one thing here. We don't know how many planets is a handful. People that are telling you it's 3, highly doubt there's going to be 3 planets that we're going to visit in this game. It's probably going to be on the higher end of some reasonable number, whatever handful might be. We don't know what a handful of planets even means. I think that's just poor wording. If you are someone that is worried by that line, I want to remind you of a few things. First off, we saw 37 star systems on the galaxy map. We don't even know if that's all the star systems, if there's more to discover. Just don't expect to land on 37 planets. I think that's an unrealistic expectation, but at the same time, we've seen enough gameplay of this game and different environments for there to be a good amount of planets. And if I had to guess on a number right now, I'd probably say on the upper end of 5 to 10. I'm hoping 9 or 10, but it could be 6, it could be 7. We don't really know. However, these areas have to be a lot more dense because we know that the playable area in Andromeda is 4 times larger than Mass Effect 3's, 4 times, and also Mass Effect Andromeda is longer than Mass Effect 3, which takes around 25 to 30 hours longer if you do absolutely everything. Returning to the trailer, this gameplay exploration focuses on Eladin, which is a planet, and we're focusing on Paradise, which is one of the first starting areas. We hear from the narrator that the heat on this planet is deadly. That's an environmental hazard. The water is scarce. There's mysterious ancient artifacts dotting the landscape that are guarded by dangerous remnant creatures. We also have a Krogan presence here, and they're not happy. They don't trust the Andromeda Initiative, and however you deal with the Krogan presence here determines your success with the initiative on this planet. If you played the original trilogy, then you're familiar with Krogan diplomacy. You just have to deal with these guys. So it's going to be interesting to see how the story plays out and what we have to do in order to make the Krogan happy so we can complete our mission with the initiative on Eladin. It's also interesting to see what another developed area looks like. We've seen some city-looking locations in gameplay so far, but this is just another new one. It looks like there's plenty of people, plenty of big structures. People have been worried about, big, large open spaces with nothing in them. The game is about exploration, so you need to expect that, but we also do have these more developed sites. Next, we have Sam, the VI AI, pointing out different points of interest on planets. Apparently, this is something that's going to happen on every single planet you go to, pointing out key locations before you actually go and explore. Apparently, this was supposed to be a golden world as well, so this is kind of where things open up for each planet. We get some more Nomad gameplay, which looks fantastic, just kind of driving around different areas on this specific planet, but most importantly, we have a pause menu here. For the first time, we're looking at Nomad Upgrades, so you're finding things like detecting enemies at further distances, getting better health, getting less traction and more agility with the Nomad, better defenses, shield discharge, better boost, better shield regeneration. All of these upgrades require materials that we'll have to find out when we're exploring. Next, we're looking at forward stations, which are these little pods that you call down that have a number of different purposes. We'll talk about that in a second, but first I want to pause on this map. There are lots of different icons to go through. We don't really know what all of these icons mean. You can see, I think, an icon for the Tempest and ones for forward stations, which are the blue kind of pod looking things, which makes sense. Other things to point out, the map looks plenty big and there's a lot of spaces we haven't discovered yet. There's a viability meter, which is something we're going to talk about, and also it says New Tachanka, so maybe this is the new Krogan homeworld. We don't really know. Through narration, we learn about forward stations. They allow you to change your loadout, drop a Nomad at that location if you lose it, and also fast travel, which is a new kind of mechanic. We've really never had big enough spaces to fast travel in Mass Effect. Now we have that. Quick pause here. We have a Ket melee weapon that we've never seen before called the Carphalon. It looks like some kind of dagger shiv sort of weapon, so very interesting there. Forward stations also resupply and protect you from environmental hazards. So if you run out of ammo or you're running out of life support, run to a forward station. That will save your life. We've got some more kind of story exposition here. I just want to skip that because I can't really comment on anything on that. It looks interesting, but next up, we learn that all planets have localized or global hazards. So they're going to be in specific areas or all over the planet, depends, but all planets have hazards. And to deal with that, the Pathfinder and the Nomad have life support in the bottom left to protect them, but you run out of that if you just stay in that hazard for an extended period of time. So you'll need to find a safe place, for example, a forward station, to replenish your life support. I had to slow down here because look at that. That appears to be the mechanical version of an Andromedan Thresher mob, which looks terrifying. We've seen it in other bits of gameplay, but this thing looks colossal and massive. We're gonna have to fight it at some point. Moving on, I just wanted to pause again at this planet view. It's a new planet view that we haven't seen. It's kind of familiar to what we've seen in the original trilogy. So you've got the view of the planet, kind of the data analysis description on the right side, but you also have quests on the left, which is also something we had before, and minerals on the planet. So this is what you're going to be able to find on this planet. If you need something for a specific upgrade, you can come here and find those minerals. That's also really cool. The narrator also tells us about viability, which is represented by the viability level. It's 2% on this planet in particular. So increasing viability allows for the creation of outposts on specific planets. And also, if you increase viability, you can get upgrades for the Nexus, which just helps you in your mission. Now we get an updated view, viability level 100% on this planet. And so before the planet's allowed to have an outpost on it, you need to raise your viability to at least 40% by eliminating threats, allying with locals, solving environmental problems, and finishing the story. For example, the relationship with the Krogan on this planet. Outposts sound really interesting, but regardless if we get one or not, exploration and discoveries will give us Andromeda viability points, which are represented in the top right there. After you reach a certain point, that'll allow you to upgrade the Nexus and wake up more colonists from cryosleep. This is something I totally didn't expect, so you can go to this console on the Nexus and choose who you want to wake up. Who you wake up determines what perks and advantages you get, and there's a total of 28 perks to unlock. So the categories of people we can wake up are scientists, which will boost our research and development, military, which will boost our combat, that's awesome, and also merchants for a trading boost. They actually go into the merchant category where we're going to pause and look at these specific boosts. So there's 9 underneath merchants. You can earn credits from investments with the financial infrastructure perk here. You can get rare items from the gray market, from gray market connections, things like market dominance, supply lines, trade capacity. All this stuff you'll be able to unlock by exploring. And I really hope we see a reflection of these people being woken up, like they're actually on the Nexus doing their work. That would be awesome. Moving on, there's going to be a vast network of ancient vaults across many planets in Andromeda, and we're going to have to figure out how to access them. That in and of itself is going to be a challenge that may take us across entire worlds, which is super interesting. Right here, we have some awesome gameplay of what it looks like inside of a vault. Some of the earliest gameplay was also inside of a vault. These look like fairly large explorable spaces, so I'm really excited to jump into these vaults, and apparently we have to use all of our skills, including exploration, environmental navigation, puzzle solving, and combat to make it out alive. The narrator also explains that resolving the mystery of these vaults may hold the key to survival in Andromeda. So that makes me think that these vaults are a major plot point. We're gonna have to go around in these ancient vaults, find them on different planets, descend to the bottom and figure out what's going on with them. Also, we get our best look at what a female Angara looks like. I think this is it. This doesn't look like Jal. This is not a companion, so don't, jump to that conclusion. We know what the 6 companions in the game are, the squad mates. This looks like a temporary person that we'll be traveling with because we see her at the end of the trailer again, but this appears to be our best look at a female Angaran. So I'm just going to let the rest of the trailer roll. There's no specific pause points that I want to point out, but I do want to say there's some really cool looking environments in the rest of this trailer. Specifically there in that city, and then the raining area right here. Looks like some really interesting places we're going to get to explore. We also get some more narration about exploring the depths of a crashed starship right there, or the core of an active volcano. Some very crazy different ways and areas to explore in this game. We're going to see the same scene with that female Angara. Something really interesting about Ryder is he's not wearing any armor. I don't know why he's not wearing any armor in this specific area, but again, he's with that female Angara. There's some really interesting remnant stuff going on there. We'll have to find out what that is when the game comes out. All right, guys, that is it for this episode of Journey to Andromeda. Super glad that we got our great look at exploration in Andromeda for the first time. So anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this video, remember to hit that like button and let me know in the comment section what is most exciting to you about the exploration from what we've seen in this video. For me, I think it's working with other races to try to, get an outpost on a planet. That's going to be, an interesting development. Diplomacy was always something that I appreciated in the original trilogy. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe for more Andromeda content coming soon. My next pre-release video is going to focus on characters and squad mates that have been revealed so far, so you don't want to miss that. Be sure and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.